New camera angle. Now I don't have to clean my room or wear pants. Okay, so today I'm doing something not as properly organized as some of my other stuff. I'm more just going to describe to you the thoughts I had at 1 a.m. when I couldn't fall asleep. Good luck. So, I'm assuming you've heard of Attack on Titan and My Hero Academia. On the off chance you haven't, Google it. But both of these have kind of had some relevance in the past couple years, mainly for one way, shape, or form, both of them ending. With My Hero, its manga finally wrapped up after 10 years last August, and the anime for Attack on Titan finally ended with Attack on Titan, the final season, the final chapters, part 2. That's just never not going to be funny to me. And I have conflicting views on both of these series. They have things I like about them and other things I don't like about them. But today I kind of just wanted to quickly rant and discuss kind of a thing I noticed that both of them tried and failed at doing. Now, spoilers for the manga of both of them if you somehow don't know at this point or if you just don't care. Now, as I lay on my couch I use for a bed, staring into the void that is my subconscious, trying to force myself to fall asleep just so I don't have to be alone with my thoughts, I had a thought. I realized that both of these series dedicate their roughly first third to half of their runtime to kind of build up a worldview, kind of morals, themes, ethics, and characters, and then we'll spend a lot of time in the later half of its series kind of working to analyze and deconstruct what it has built up. Now, on paper, I love stuff like this. This is my shit. But both of them kind of just fail at this. Now, before I officially get started, I do want to recommend videos on these series by a channel called Lost Futures. He does a really fantastic job kind of really going into depth on these series, more than I'm going to do here, so check them out. They're worth the time. I'll leave links for them in the description. So first off with Attack on Titan, heavily in its first season, easing up on it throughout its second and third season, and then doing the full kind of switch up throughout the rest of the series, dresses itself up so heavily in fascistic rhetoric, themes, and tones that you'd think it was going to a goddamn cosplay party. I know some people are tired of the whole is Attack on Titan fascist kind of debate at this point, and like I mean you can see why people may think that about Attack on Titan at first glance. Like literally in the first season, the entire point is that the world is a cruel, evil, hopeless place that only those willing to commit violence and to sacrifice everything to the cause really have a place in. The antagonists, starting off with the Titans, are just mindless, ugly, grotesque killing machines that don't even need to kill, but they just do it because they are that evil. And then over time, with sort of the more special Titans of like the armored Colossus, female Beast Titans, are unknown foreign invaders who have slowly infiltrated the ranks of our main characters to just kill all of them for a good portion of the series, seemingly no real reason. And that's not even getting started on how, like, kind of pro-military that this show is in its first couple seasons. Like, so many salutes, so many speeches, so many... It is so overwhelming at times. And, like, there are times where you're kind of watching this series and it's, like, specifically season 1, and I'm kind of thinking to myself, the series is asking the question, what if Hitler? But he was right. And My Hero Academia is just propaganda. Propaganda is essentially media made to promote positive images of the police and prison systems while minimizing the harm that both of them cause. Please enjoy the rest of this video. The heroes are just cops. There's like few other ways of reading it. The only main difference is that the heroes actually do their job, but the heroes enforce the law almost exclusively with violence. They're pretty much always portrayed as in the right and generally as good people, and every good person loves them and wants to be them, and the criminals are all villains. Like there's really no difference in the series made between a criminal and a villain. They're just all called villains. That's it. And the villains are all cruel and evil people who just want to hurt innocents and cause destruction and mayhem. Like, literally, the big bad guy, All For One, is called the Demon Lord. And there is literally an entire chapter towards the end of the series dedicated to just showing that he was just born evil. That's it. Like, this first section is one of the most, like, pro law enforcement media I have ever seen, and it is baffling that I couldn't read any of that. But to give credit to both of these series, they don't just stay with these ideas forever. They eventually try to move forward to question them, to try to like really go into what they kind of started off with. AOT spends a lot of time questioning what all the violence has really brought the characters. After the epic speeches, the marches, the sacrifices, the progress that is being made, what do the characters have left? It's always just another enemy to kill, more friends they have to bury, and the hope that they are kind of being told about, that they're being promised, is still as far away as it was at the beginning. And we see with Aaron and his character arc, he was just a kid who wanted to be free. But through the radical beliefs of everyone around him and the circumstances he was born in, eventually comes to the decision that everyone in the world is his enemy, so he needs to kill all of his enemies. So he just keeps killing. He just keeps fighting. And we see how the beliefs of someone like Erwin, who, considering the context, I won't call him a good person, and despite his circumstances, we see how his beliefs and kind of the way he kind of led his people could be used only for further radicalization, which just leads to further violence. And I do find it a bit weird how the series kind of makes a bit of a moral question of whether or not Aaron using the rumbling is a good thing. Shocker, genocide bad. But at least we have a scene with Hanji kind of just blatantly stating the obvious truth of the matter. And all these ideas, discussions culminate in a very simple conversation between Armin and Zeke, where they come to realize that despite everything that they've been through, what they have suffered, life still has value. But it wasn't the suffering that brought the value. It wasn't the sacrifice that brought the value. What brought the value was the connections that they made with other people. It's because we give each other value just by existing. Value isn't something that can be made through pain and sacrifice. The value is already there. It comes with life itself. Life is precious. And with my hero, we eventually realize that not everything is hunky-dory in our perfect, wonderful society that can only exist because of our amazing, wonderful heroes. We spend a lot of time focusing on the villains, the people failed by society, the people who slip through the cracks, those who don't match the aesthetic, people who the system was never really designed for, so they're just left alone to suffer. And one of the big emotional moments of the series is Uraraka kind of telling the public that heroes can't be the final solution to the problem. Everybody needs to do something. The communities need to step up to take care and support each other. That's how we stop the circumstances that ended up happening from happening. So again, on paper, this rocks. This is really cool. I should be loving this. But they both eventually fail. And why, you may ask? Commitment issues. Okay. The manga ending for Attack on Titan really fucking sucks. The anime does clean up a few things, but it's still just not that good. Now, I am going to be focusing on the manga ending for this, mainly because A, that was Isayama's vision just by himself, and 2, I just have a lot more thoughts on the manga ending. Now, what I talked about earlier, the conversation between Zeke and Armin. really beautiful moment talking about value and life and compassion and kind of what we are supposed to do with that. Final chapter, 3 billion people are murdered and we just don't really talk about it. At least the anime bothered to actually like have someone say something about that, like Jesus. And then after all the talks about like hope and compassion and trying to understand people and trying to move forward and how eventually we can maybe make it out of this, and despite Aaron's genocidal bullshit plan time travel thing, it's like we are left with maybe the possibility of things finally moving forward, things finally changing. And they don't. War continues on, the death and destruction doesn't stop, and the final panel is a tease of potentially the return of the Titans. What was the fucking point? And before I get any, actually, that's just how history works, suck my her dick. Like, have some fucking hope. Try to believe things can get better. Because guess what? Believing in humanity is what the fascists don't want you to do. Like, they build their systems on cruelty and, like, manipulation and subjugation, and they try to tell you that that is all humanity is capable of, so you don't question it. It's not a thing that people are choosing to do, it is just a natural thing that is happening, which is bullshit. And also, it's just, in the term of his Attack on Titan, it just isn't good storytelling. You don't build up your fascism to try to dissect your fascism just to automatically fall into the beliefs and the worldview that allow fascism to exist. Like, Isayama, what the fuck are you cooking? And just the same thing just kind of happens with my hero. So, we spend time just living in the hero society, then we spend a lot of time critiquing it and all the people it has failed. It is kind of established that what is happening does not work. But guess what? All the people who are actually trying to change things are just murderous psychos. Stain just goes around murdering, like, random heroes, and he still worships All Might as a living personification of the Thin Blue Line. The Thin Blue Line is a concept spread that the only thing separating a lawful, peaceful society from anarchy and chaos is the police. A lot of propaganda will try to enforce this concept. Please enjoy the rest of this video. Shigaraki himself just states he just doesn't have a plan for what's gonna happen after he destroys everything. He doesn't particularly care about, like, the downtrodden. He just wants to destroy everything. That's it. That's his thing. Dabi just wants to kill his family. Spinner himself states he just kinda latches on to the beliefs of those around him. Toga is just kinda just shown to be a psycho and a weirdo. And again, their boss is literally called the Demon Lord. Now, there is depth to these characters. There is nuance. They're not just evil people for the sake of being evil people. But having just people like this being the main, like, arbiters of change, the main people vocally asking for change by people stating that things are not working, it feels weird. Don't know what you're trying to say there. And at the end of it all, when the series is done, the big battle is done, the good guys are still the heroes. Like, all the villains, they either die or are just arrested, and everything just kinda goes back to normal. We literally have a panel of, like, Midoriya asking, hey, so how can we, like, get things back to normal? And literally one of the only answers thrown out was just throwing more heroes into the mix. Because, yeah, that's how you solve your problems. More law enforcement. Nothing bad ever happens from that. And in the final chapter, which kind of is the epilogue, it just doesn't look like anything's changed. Like, we get one scene of some kind of like, of sort of like individual change that is potentially happening. But when we kind of see the Hero Society, it just looks the same. It doesn't appear like anything's actually different or like evolved since everything that happened in the main story. So, again, what was the goddamn point? So yeah, what's the takeaway from all this, kids? Commitment. Commit to your ideas. If you want to build something up, commit to that. If you want to critique and analyze something, commit to that. Both AOT and My Hero legit try to do something interesting, but they just both fail because they can't fully commit to what they're trying to do. It's like they can never escape the roots at the beginning of their series, the ideas that started out from it, and it just ends up making the whole series just feel kinda confused and pointless. Don't do that. And like, I get it. It takes a lot of work to escape the roots, to escape the ideas that you were kind of born into, that you were taught all your life, to kind of try to move past that. It takes work. It takes effort. Anyone who tries to tell you otherwise is just trying to sell you on their self-help seminar. But through that effort, something new will come from it. You can find and come to understand things that you didn't know before. And through doing that, you can really change how you interact with the world and what you are capable of creating, what you are capable of saying. But like I said, you gotta commit. This is just a problem I have with a lot of manga where they don't have any falling action. Big conflict's done. Now it's over. You can't explore anything. Commit. If you're gonna end it that way, commit to it and let me actually explore what the fuck you were trying to say. God. Hey everyone, still here? So just going forward on this channel, and most of our videos are going to be ending off with a shout out to different charities and causes that I believe we can really help give support to and spread awareness about. And for first off, we're going to start talking about CareforGaza. There are currently an estimated 1.9 million people displaced in the West Bank and Palestine from the ongoing Israeli bombardment, most of them without access to basic supplies. Hunger and illness are rampant as the death toll only continues to rise from the bombardment. According to a 649-page document from the Gaza Ministry of Health, over 40,000 people have died since last October. Over a quarter of that number were children. This is undoubtedly one of the worst humanitarian crises in recent history. And while things are grim, there are still things we can do to help. CareforGaza is a group of people on the ground in Gaza working to provide food, water, clothes, hygiene supplies, and medicine to the people displaced by the ongoing conflict. And any donations go directly to these people, helping giving them the supplies necessary to survive. Even if you can't donate much, a little bit could mean the difference between someone eating today or not. While this absolutely horrific situation can show us the absolute worst in humanity, it is also in these moments that we rise up and help each other through them. Links for CareforGaza's GoFundMe, PayPal, and Twitter will be left in the description. And even if you can't donate, at least following them on Twitter and spreading their posts can help bring awareness to what they are trying to do. Thank you for listening.